Okay, we're at the beginning of turn 2. As we can see over on the advancing out of Limal, the French forces are starting to approach the Prussian line. The skirmisher column skirmisher forces have been thrown out front and are also screening the village of La Bergère, where you can see some Prussians have taken up a defensive line on the edge of the village, and another unit is garrisoning the village against a potential French attack. They formed up in march column to potentially storm across the bridge, and an infantry line and skirmishers are providing supporting fire, probably whittle down the battalion a bit more in the garrison before they go in. And in the centre, French troops are, a 3rd regiment is wheeling off to form up on the left flank of the attack, and the other 2 brigades continue to advance. We'll see what happens as we work through turn 2. Okay, we've had an eventful turn 4. The French line has moved up and started exchanging volleys with the Prussians. Charlie was remarkably unlucky. He's done very, very few casualties this turn. In return, the French have been extremely fortunate. Their skirmish line here has caused 3 casualties against Charlie's Uhlans. He rolled 3 6s. That was extremely lucky. Then again, his skirmishers here caused a casualty against the village, and the newly deployed French foot artillery battery, which did deploy actually last turn, fired into the village and caused 3 casualties and a discipline test, and rolled a double 6. So as a result of the destiny test, the brigade in the village is now faltering, so that'll be a challenge for Charlie next turn. As we move across the battlefield, the exchange of volleys between the French and the Prussians on the edge of the village continues here. French did quite well there. And in the centre, the French are right up against the hedge line. They may charge or they may continue exchanging fire with the Prussians next turn. But so far so good for the French, and a bit unlucky for Charlie. And the Prussians continue to hold the hedge line. They are well supported, and hopefully they'll get the luck next turn and have a go at throwing the French battalions back. Hopefully I'm getting a bit more wise and not charging in with my columns first time against Charlie's defended positions, because he just throws me back. So I'm trying to weaken his battalions before I go in, so we'll see whether this is any more effective. Right, see you again in turn 5. So, an eventful turn 6. Charlie's lancers have driven away the French skirmishers. They've fallen back behind their unit, but the infantry know they're safe as the river is unfordable by cavalry, especially at a charge. Charlie was hesitant in the village, but has managed to rotate so they didn't go closer to the enemy. His unit that was outside the village for the one that was in, so you've now got only 2 casualties on that unit in the village, I think, and the one outside's got about 8. The French and the Prussians continue to exchange fire in the centre. Charlie did a good round of firing and he managed to get a double 6. And on the destiny test he killed my brigadier, and the whole brigade has to step back and gone hesitant. And my far brigade is also hesitant again this turn. So not much action will be forthcoming from the French in turn 7. Charlie's defence still looks pretty robust. We'll get on with firing and then come back with turn 8. Okay, we're at the beginning of turn 8, and initiative's going to be all important. French artillery and musketry fire into the La Bergère has driven the Prussian garrisoning battalion out, so who's going to get initiative will determine who occupies the village next. In the centre, the musketry exchanges have really gone in favour of the Prussians over the last couple of turns, so those leading French battalions are pretty weak, and I think we'll have to fall out of the way so the main French assault can go in. So I think we've got a crucial role for initiative. The French are also going to have to face this hussar unit, which is starting to redeploy towards the left flank of the Prussian forces. Alright, we'll get on with turn 8. Right, the beginning of turn 8 has been quite eventful. French won the initiative, and as you can see, One of the French battalions has now managed to charge in the village, but the Prussians are now forming themselves up for a counterattack to go in next turn, and the rest of the French troops are also forming up to move over the river. The French artillery has limbered in the hope that it won't be needed anymore to bombard that village and is looking to redeploy. In the centre, we had some success for the French. The middle French column charged in against the Prussians. Charlie managed to roll 2 11s on his defensive volleys and caused 4 casualties on both charging French battalions, but they both passed their destiny tests. The left-hand column, as I say, charged in and has pushed back the Lutzow battalion back through its own compatriots, unforming both units, but only took 1 casualty as it was a charge reaction, so it failed to make contact. And on the second attack I managed to roll pretty badly and just stumbled to a halt, and we fired a ragged volley, so not managing to break the Prussian battalion here. Meanwhile, the rest of the French attack continues to go in against this flank. We'll see how we do as we move into firing in turn 8. Right, we're at the beginning of turn 10 and we're calling it. Charlie is victorious. What happened in turn 9 was the Prussians assaulted the village. The French held them off in the first round of combat, but in the second round of combat the Prussians were able to throw in 3 battalions and the French got 1 casualty and the Prussians got 5 casualties, Charlie?
Yeah.
So they routed the battalion in the village, which caused this whole brigade to falter. We rolled a 1, so they fled, and indeed they will have fled off table as they're all within a retreat move on the table edge. In the centre, the French on the far side charged in against the Prussian line, but were brought to a halt. Charlie again rolled 2 11s for his defensive volleys. So the French drew to a halt and did a ragged volley against the Prussian line, didn't do any good. In the centre, the French battalion on the left-hand side facing off against this Prussian unit with the white flag charged home but were destroyed by the Prussian defensive volley. In the centre, the battalions have actually retreated because again there was a falter result on this brigade and they got a rally result, but they all had to retire if they were within 9 inches of the enemy. So those battalions have retired back. They were unable to break the Prussian second line, although they did charge up, but again did a ragged volley. So this Prussian brigade in the centre is also down to half strength. So with this one, French brigade is down to half strength. So with this one at half strength and this brigade destroyed, we're declaring Charlie the victor. They've held the stream at Wavre and held up and driven back Girard's flanking attack. Final view of the battlefield, and we'll see you again for our next report. I'm looking forward with our new upgraded broadband in this video taking less than 2 hours to upload. See you next time.